The fact that this is a newsworthy event in in our world right now is pretty Shaka Khan to me.
Johnson cleared up the
The entertainment world was shaken to its core when shocking news began to circulate that Dakota Johnson, the actress so often described as the embodiment of mysterious grace beneath Hollywood's relentless halo, had reportedly reached a breaking point in her relationship with Sam Heughan, the Scottish star of Outlander long admired for his aristocratic bearing and fiery passion, and whispers quickly began to suggest that a once beautiful and seemingly unbreakable love story was on the verge of collapse. For years, the connection between Dakota and Sam had carried an aura of fate, as though two seemingly divergent souls, one a poised, cool, and enigmatic figure of Hollywood lineage, the other a man of rugged Highland fire whose charisma and intensity were inseparable from his Scottish roots, had collided in a way that resembled a classic love song blending haunting melancholy with soaring passion. And though the couple had never confirmed their relationship publicly, Hollywood itself seemed to nod knowingly, treating the pairing as an open secret, while fans across the world had already woven a mythology around them, affectionately dubbing the duo Sakakota, a playful portmanteau representing the harmony between American romantic cinema and Scottish epic tradition, a symbol of two worlds colliding in a way that felt almost mythological. However, by the middle of 2025, strange signs began to appear that all was not well, with the first tremors of doubt triggered by a grainy paparazzi photograph taken in a modest London cafe, where Sam was seen sitting across from a slim, elegantly dressed blonde woman, the sort who exuded sophistication and mystery, and though at first many dismissed the images as professional, assuming she was perhaps an agent, a stylist, or a collaborator in some new creative venture, doubts intensified as further photographs emerged. First at a high-profile fashion event in Milan, where Sam appeared deep in conversation with the same woman. Then, in the lobby of a boutique hotel in Prague, and finally, most explosively, at a private Croatian resort, each sighting seeming to strengthen the impression that this was no fleeting acquaintance but a repeated and perhaps intimate association. And the fictional gossip outlet Hollywood Whisper wasted no time in plastering its front page with the headline, "Sam Heughan spotted with mystery woman. Where is Dakota Johnson in this affair?" instantly throwing the fan community into disarray, as speculation mushroomed across platforms with endless threads, memes, debates, and conspiracy-style breakdowns analyzing every expression, outfit, and gesture captured in the photographs. While loyal fans of Dakota began to question not only Sam's choices but also the silence that had always shrouded their relationship. It was Dakota's reaction, however, that truly electrified the story, for she had built a reputation over the years as a fiercely private figure, preferring to veil her personal life in irony, humor, and mystery, rarely succumbing to the public hunger for details, and yet, according to insiders, this time she felt unable to continue with the same dignified silence, and the first crack in her composure appeared in the form of a cryptic post on her Twitter account, now rebranded as X, that read, "The truth always floats to the surface, even when it's wearing a suit and smiling charmingly. Wilted flower." The simplicity of the words belied their emotional intensity, but fans immediately understood the implication, interpreting the suit as a veiled reference to Sam, often praised for his dapper public appearances, while the imagery of the wilted flower was seen as a metaphor for love lost, beauty betrayed, or a romance once cherished now fading. And within minutes, hashtags such as #JusticeForDakota and #SamExplained began to trend globally, with supporters rallying to her defense, producing fan art of wilted roses, editing dramatic video montages of their supposed love story, tinged with sadness, and writing heartfelt essays on social platforms lamenting how even the most perfect-seeming relationships could crumble under the strain of distance, fame, and perhaps temptation. Insiders, whether genuine or fictional, fed the fire by telling entertainment sites that Dakota was emotionally exhausted, having long endured the challenges of navigating Sam's demanding filming schedules, the endless expectations of his global fanbase, and the geographical separations that left her often alone while he was immersed in production abroad. And though she had tried, according to these sources, to be understanding, to shoulder the burden quietly, the repeated rumors and now the damning photographs had finally pushed her beyond her limit, leaving her feeling betrayed, heartbroken, and unable to continue as though nothing had happened. The situation soon became one of the most talked about celebrity sagas of the year, with magazines dedicating entire spreads to timelines of their relationship, analyzing public appearances in retrospect to search for signs of trouble. Did Dakota's subtle withdrawal at a charity gala months earlier suggest dissatisfaction? Did Sam's unusually cryptic interviews hint at guilt? Did the absence of joint sightings in recent months already foreshadow the inevitable fracture? And commentators, both serious and satirical, weighed in, with some portraying Dakota as a tragic heroine wronged by fate and circumstance, while others insisted that the story was being blown out of proportion by gossip-hungry outlets and opportunistic paparazzi. Yet regardless of the truth, what mattered most to the fans was the sense of emotional reality, the belief that a love story they had idealized might now be unraveling before their eyes. And as debates raged, communities split into camps. Those who urged caution, insisting on Sam's right to privacy and the possibility of misinterpretation, and those who demanded accountability, arguing that Dakota's but wounded words spoke louder than any denial could. Meanwhile, fictionalized responses circulated across fan accounts, with one claiming Sam had written on his Instagram story, "Sometimes people see shadows when there is only light," a post that many took as a defensive allusion to the rumors, while another alleged Dakota had shared a photograph of a shattered mirror, captioned simply, "Reflections tell no lies," fueling even more heated exchanges in comment sections as fans dissected every emoji, every punctuation mark, and every possible hidden meaning. In Vietnam, where the Sakakota fandom had flourished, the heartbreak was particularly palpable, with fan groups holding late-night discussions in cafes where posters of Sam and Dakota still hung from happier times, now reinterpreted with a bittersweet nostalgia, while poets among the community composed laments comparing Dakota to a wilting rose, betrayed by a highland storm, and artists produced somber sketches of Dakota, looking into the distance with rain streaking across a castle window, images that were shared widely and liked thousands of times, proving how deeply invested fans had become in the myth of their love. Elsewhere, cultural commentators began to analyze the saga symbolically, noting that Dakota, often seen as the emblem of restrained, modern American sophistication, appeared to embody the archetype of the wounded goddess, betrayed yet dignified, while Sam, so often typecast as the Highland warrior, now risked becoming cast in the role of the charming yet fallible hero who stumbles, raising questions about whether their narrative was not merely personal but also reflective of timeless archetypes of passion, betrayal, and resilience. And so, as the days passed, what began as a single paparazzi
That's how it's done. Loser.
Who knew?
The whispers surrounding Sam Heughan and Dakota Johnson's troubled relationship intensified when reports emerged that his behavior had recently crossed a line, and all attention turned towards the so-called mystery woman who had been photographed with him in various European cities. After days of speculation, the online community claimed to have traced her identity to Emily Lauren, a French novelist best known for a controversial bestseller about the doomed love between a man already committed and a woman who could never fully be his, a theme that suddenly seemed uncomfortably close to the narrative fans now feared was unfolding in real life. And the intrigue only deepened when old interviews resurfaced in which Sam himself had confessed, "I don't just like reading Emily Lauren's books. I think I see myself in her characters," a remark that at the time was taken as a casual compliment to a respected author, but now, in the heat of scandal, was dissected as possible evidence of something more than artistic admiration. Emily herself remained publicly silent on the matter but posted a carefully ambiguous photograph of a lavender field with the caption, "Love doesn't always need to be explained. It just needs to come from a sincere place," ending her post with a purple heart emoji, a message that might otherwise have been dismissed as poetic, but which took on a far sharper edge when Sam was spotted liking it. An action that ignited a firestorm of anger among fans who saw the simple gesture as a quiet betrayal of Dakota, fueling hashtags and outraged commentary that painted Emily as the catalyst for heartbreak. The tension reached a symbolic peak at the 2025 Cinema Soul Awards, where Dakota had been nominated for Best Actress for her raw and haunting performance in Salt in the Wound. Yet to the surprise of the entire industry, she did not attend, allowing her representative to collect the award on her behalf and deliver a speech that resonated far beyond the walls of the ceremony, stating on her behalf, "Sometimes the most important thing is not the trophy, but keeping your own identity in the midst of storms." A message fans immediately linked to the ongoing turmoil, interpreting it as Dakota's dignified way of reclaiming power, while her official fan page posted only a stark black and white story declaring, "Today, I choose to walk away, not because I am weak, but because I love myself more than what others hide." A statement that reverberated across platforms and was widely shared as a rallying cry for self-worth and resilience. In the aftermath, fans turned into amateur detectives, scouring old appearances and interviews to unearth signs that cracks had been forming long before the scandal broke. They pointed to the Toronto International Film Festival earlier in the year, where Sam, when asked casually about love, had said, "Love is beautiful, but sometimes it doesn't always come at the right time," a phrase that many had shrugged off at the time but now seemed like foreshadowing, while others noted that Dakota had unfollowed one of Sam's secondary Instagram accounts back in March, a small digital gesture that only the most observant fans had noticed, yet which, in hindsight, appeared to carry heavy significance. They also highlighted how the couple had not been seen together publicly since February and had barely interacted on social media for more than half a year, all of which seemed to suggest that the relationship had been quietly fraying for some time, long before Emily Lauren entered the frame, and fan commentary reflected this painful realization with posts like, "Maybe they love each other, but they are no longer walking together," and "Dakota deserves a loyal man. No one should be betrayed in silence." Faced with escalating media scrutiny and a tide of public disappointment, Sam eventually broke his silence, posting a black and white image of himself gazing into the distance with the caption, "I don't want to justify. I'm not perfect either, but the truth always has two sides. I hope people will listen to me." A statement that sought nuance but only further divided opinion, with some fans rushing to defend him, arguing that emotions are unpredictable and that Sam, as much as anyone, deserved the freedom to make choices for himself, while others condemned the message as evasive, interpreting it as a failure to acknowledge Dakota's pain, with one particular